this meeting to order. Selma City Council, regular meeting, August 5th, 2019, is exactly 6 o'clock p.m. Before we have our invocation, could we all have a moment of silence, please, for the victims and family members of those slain in the shootings in Gilroy, El Paso, and Dayton? As my priest at church said yesterday, healing and reconciliation start in each of our hearts, and it begins with how we treat each other. Everyone, please bow your heads. Thank you. Now we'll have our invocation led by the next generation of Pastor Marty Lynch. Could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I am Pastor Marty's son, Keoki Kaolelapono. I am the associate pastor at Christ-Driven Assembly of God Church. Mayor and City Council, it is an honor and privilege to do the invocation tonight. If you guys would bow your heads and pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for this evening. God, I thank you for this country and this city, God, you've blessed us with. Lord, as we come together tonight to look over things, God, as decisions are made, as plans begin to form in this city, Lord, I pray you would give the city council wisdom, God, in their decisions, in things they have to talk about. Lord, that you would begin to just change the hearts of this city, God, for your kingdom. Lord, I thank you for every city council member up there, God, that you would use them for your glory, use them for this city. God, that Selma would be the pinnacle of the valley, God, and I thank you for that. Lord, also, as I pray tonight, God, I want to just have a moment, Lord, where we lift you up, God, for the victims, God, that have been involved in these shootings, Lord, in our country. Lord, from El Paso to Dayton to Gilroy, Lord, that you would begin to put a peace over the families, God, that you would begin to touch, Lord, their hearts. God, as we pray for them tonight, Lord, that you're a God that can give peace, Lord, when no one else can. You're a loving God, Lord, and I pray that your peace would surpass, Lord, all understanding, Lord, that our thoughts are not your thoughts and our ways are not your ways, God, but you are the Almighty God, and you are the ultimate healer, Lord. And so I pray this evening for those families. God, I pray for the people in this country, God, that you would give us hearts that love you and chase after you, Lord. God, it's not about trying to be the person who fixes all this violence, Lord, but it's about people who just love you, God, and the violence will begin to walk away. Lord, and I pray that for this country and for this city this evening. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody please stands for the Pledge of Allegiance and flag. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos?
Here.
Councilmember Guerra?
Here.
Councilmember Trujillo?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Franco?
Here.
Mayor Robertson?
Here. Potential conflicts of interest. Any council member has a potential conflict of interest may announce the item now and recuse themselves from discussing or voting on the matter.
Mr. Mayor, I have no potential conflict of interest, but I would just like to point out to the community that I am related to the first presenter, so I just wanted to make that known to the community out there watching.
Okay, so noted. Any other potential conflicts of interest? Okay, we'll move on to oral communications. At this time, any member of the public may stand up and address the city council on any issue within its jurisdiction, but not on the agenda. No item will be taken for action or discussion at this time, but items of interest will be referred to the city manager for further review. Members of the public will be asked to keep their remarks to 3 minutes. Come on up.
I was waiting. Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. Tonight, I come to you just to say thank you. Thank you for coming out to the event, our car show. It was great. It was hot, but It was great. Thank you for the acknowledgement of what we do at the Boys and Girls Club. At this time, I'm actually going to surprise this person, so I want to acknowledge him and his staff. I wish I would have done it a little bit better and gotten more prepared, but I want to acknowledge Shane and his staff. The reason is because they came to the building, the Salazar Center, and they painted the whole building. I don't know, within what, a day and a half, 2 days, painted the whole building, touched up the trim, touched up the fence, cleaned out the shrubs and everything in front of the building. And when I got there, I was like looking around like, is this my building? I mean, you know, there's actual shapes on the trees that are out there in the shrubs and stuff. So tonight, Shane, I wanted to present this to you and your staff. Okay. This is, it says, in appreciation for your support and dedication, we thank you from the Boys and Girls Club. So, thank you, man. I appreciate you. So, with that, like I said, we had a great turnout. Kind of turned some things around this year. We brought in some food vendors, and it worked out very well. We also brought in Dutch Brothers Coffee. That was a big hit. They've contacted me and they're like, "Hey, Mark, how can you help us? I'm like, first and third of the week, 6 o'clock, City Council, come on down. So they're planning to make it down here for a meeting. But other than that, like I said, it was a really great turnout. I haven't sat down with Mike. Me and Mike have been talking, and we're thinking about moving the event from out of the barrio to Pioneer Village. And so it's something for me to think about. It's great to do it in the barrio because then it brings everybody into that part of the community. Gives everybody a different look to see, you know, the barrio is a place where people can come and be families, excuse me, and have a good time. But anyways, just wanted to tell you, thank you, Shane. Thank you for all your work.
Who did you bring tonight from the club?
I brought Marina Bonilla and Bianca Carranza.
All right, thanks for coming out.
Marina had a speech she wrote at the car show, and I was trying to get her to do her speech tonight, but she's still shy in front of a lot of people, even though she's a cheerleader. But hopefully,
There's time for that.
yeah. Once we get the
Practice
video, we'll present the video to you. But once again, thank you for allowing us to be here.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank
Thanks for updating us. Anybody else have anything to say during oral communications tonight?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Michael Rivera on behalf of Waste Management. I come to you today to introduce a new member of our leadership team. Just a few weeks ago, Alexander Hadoyan, our prior district manager, has left the Fresno, actually California, the entire western states, to go back home to Wisconsin. And in that stead, we have a new member of our team, our district manager, AJ Singh, that I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce you to and give a few remarks about for himself.
Promise I'll keep it under time. So when I took over this position, unanimously the reaction I got was, you have big shoes to fill. So I tried to talk Alex into giving me a pair of shoes so I could mount them up on a plaque just as a reminder, but she wouldn't give them up. I just wanted to let you know a little bit about myself. So served 5 years in the U.S. Army. Once I got out, I found my home with Waste Management. And I've really been there throughout the way to my reacclimation into society, and plenty of experience down in Southern California. A little bit different environment here, and I just want to thank you guys, everyone here so far that I've dealt with, for being so welcoming. One thing I do want to mention is our relationship between Selma and Waste Management will not change, and we will continue to grow those relationships that Alex and Ken Maxey have started. And I have plenty of business cards, so if you have any issues, please let me know. You can call me directly. Thank you.
Thanks, AJ.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Anyone else for oral communications tonight? With that, we'll move on to special presentations, with our first one being from Pacific Gas and Electric Company.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. Erica Cabrera, I'm the local public affairs representative for PG&E, and I'm here with you this evening to discuss the current 2020-2022 general rate case filing that PG&E has submitted. I really wanted to open and first and foremost emphasize that the filing does not request funding for potential wildfire claims, nor does it include requests for recovery of PG&E Corporation or utility officer payment. The process, as you all know, for PG&E is to provide detailed forecasting 3 years in advance. And in that process, the CPUC reviews the information with input from their commission staffers, customers, business groups, cities, agencies, and impact and affected organizations. All customers are welcome to submit comments by either writing into the CPUC or attending a public participation hearing. There will be one in Fresno on August 14th. At 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. at Fresno City Hall. If you're unable to attend then, you're welcome to drive down to Bakersfield on Monday the 12th. So in front of you, you will have a fact sheet discussing the rate case filing and what's included. So we have the items that we've identified of the hardening of wires and poles. These are in wildfire risk areas to create more resilient infrastructure. We have enhanced vegetation management. Right now, we are currently exceeding CPUC standards, but we are looking at really becoming a pillar and exceeding some of our vegetation management removal. Also, wire down technology. So this is like a smart meter capability. So it would allow us to, an innovative way to detect wires down a little more quickly than now. And so our focus is going to be in the high wildfire threat areas, but then eventually bringing it throughout our service territory. Weather stations. Right now in Fresno County, we have installed 26 weather stations, and those weather stations help us capture weather forecast, what's happening in the field. The 26 weather stations, again, are in areas that are high wildfire threat, so that's going to be up in like the Auberry, Shaver area for Fresno County. And high definition cameras. The company's goal is to install 600 high-definition cameras. The focus, again, being in the higher wildfire threat risk areas. And we have 20% done right now, and we hope to complete that by 2022. So what does the filing ask for? The filing that PG&E is asking for is $1.05 billion. And that, when you look at it from a customer standpoint, that's about a 6.4% increase. And when you look at it from a bundled perspective, that's $10.57, and that's broken down with $8.73 for electric service and $1.84 for gas service. That would be the dollar amount if we were granted that in its entirety.
Per month or per year?
Per month. If we were granted that in its entirety. So depending on what the CPUC determines is a reasonable amount to increase the rates, that is what we'll find out in 2020. So we expect a rulemaking decision probably anywhere between January and March of 2020 for this filing. When you look at it from a care perspective, customers, so each utility has a public benefit program. So that's care, medical baseline, FARA for customers that maybe have a little more income, but we know that are still struggling, but still receive a reduced rate for their utility services. So from a care perspective, that increase would be $7.01, and the breakdown is $5.54 for electric service and $1.47 for gas service. Again, these are numbers for year one. It is a 3-year rate case filing. So depending on what the CPUC grants, and we'll be able to determine what years 1, 2, and 3. The projections right now for year, the second year would be $4.70, and then $5.04 for the third year. But again, that's in its entirety.
What percentage does that work out to be?
You know, I don't have that.
Okay.
They just provided a dollar amount.
So Erica, these are just projections as of right now. They have not been approved
Correct.
until
Correct.
January, March of 2020.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Is that your presentation?
So I know that the initial request was to talk about rates, and so I wanted to make sure that I was here before the CPUC had their public participation hearing so that people are aware that there is a mechanism, should you have concerns, that you're able to go in and voice your concern. I know that there's probably a lot of wildfire discussion. I've had a meeting with the fire chief on the work that PG&E is doing. Again, most of that is going to be in the tier 2, tier 3 area up in the Auberry area. And those tiers have been set forth by the California Public Utilities Commission. So that is where a lot of the weather station monitorings, high definition cameras, the more resilient poles are going right now. And that's in the tier 2, tier 3 areas throughout our service territory. But in Fresno County, that's the general location of it.
Does council have any additional questions for Erica? Would anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I was gonna have a question. Erica?
Yes.
You know, on the PG&E, you know, that you'd mentioned earlier on they're going on and checking the trees if there's any, you know, damage. Well, I want to say any potential danger.
Correct.
Now, are you guys working with the state of California, with the governor's, his office, with the, you know, what happened last year with the wildfires? Not, you know, just, I mean, campfires said the wildfire, but I mean,
Yes.
what I'm saying, because I know your lines are on they're on the hillsides and
Yes.
everything, so, I mean, how do you, I mean.
So our Sacramento team is working with the governor and the legislator to look at how do we not only meet the state's climate benchmarks, but as well as how do we work together and collaborating to mitigate some wildfire risk. The governor, as you're all aware, passed AB 1054 and signed that. So I think that that shows that there's potential for us to all work together, especially allowing all utilities to join the wildfire fund. That's really what the legislation called for. Our utility has a little more challenges as we need to emerge from bankruptcy before participating in that.
No,
But we are working with the governor and his
I noticed
team.
now you're using metal poles, more metal
Correct.
than the wood, because the metal will outlast the wood anyhow. So, yeah. So you're kind of being innovated there. I got to give you, you know. But I just wonder if you're working with the state of California, with the governor's office, you know, kind of facilitate some of those
Yes.
their concerns, I should say.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
So is there any group of shareholders in PG&E that's, looks like they're gonna take over? It sounds like there's the insurance company that's gonna have to foot the bill for the wildfires, and then there's a group of investors, and there's another group. I mean, is anyone emerged as the ownership structure of PG&E yet?
Not at this time, no.
No.
Not to my knowledge, maybe behind closed doors, but not to my knowledge, no. I think we're still working and looking at all options.
And who approves that?
Who would
approves
approve?
the ownership structure of PG&E?
So I
the
think it
PUC?
depends on the CPUC. There's a federal judge working on our bankruptcy filing. Does the legislator take action? I mean, there's a bunch of different moving parts. So right now, we don't know who the next owner may or may not be.
So we heard that part of the problems with the lines is the power was kept on too long. Is PG&E being very conservative about keeping the power on in the event that there's a wildfire?
So we have launched a public safety power shutoff program, and we had one in place in 2018. We've expanded the scope for 2019, which would include transmission lines. The 2018 plan did not. So a transmission line that may be in an area that has a red flag warning, high winds, dry fuel on the ground, and we have people out on the field monitoring what does the fuel look like, what do the wind conditions really look like in conjunction with our weather stations, that we may proactively de-energize lines.
Is there any talk that any of this bankruptcy, any of these groups taking control, could that affect the rate changes that are coming, the rate case?
I don't know. That hasn't been conveyed to us.
I know when I started on council, we had a PG&E rep, Jeanette Ishii, and she would come around and would update us. Are you planning on coming around and keeping us updated? 'Cause it seems like PG&E's in a pretty volatile state right now. How do you plan on keeping us notified so we can let the citizens know
I'm
what's
more than
going on?
happy to meet with you once I have more information. I can work with Teresa and Reina and set up an appointment to meet with you.
Okay, great. You can keep us updated
Okay.
on what's going on with PG&E. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Thank you for your presentation.
Oh, absolutely.
We have
Thank
one
you.
question.
It's not a question, it's a comment. Bob Allen, Executive Director of the Selma Chamber. I think my voice is loud enough. We would just like to thank PG&E for their community support in the last few years. And last year, prior to July 1st, they provided funding for our Movies in the Park. And we were able to give at least 400 people 400 children during the month of July, Movies in the Park, free of cost with food and all kinds of things. So we want to thank PG&E for being a good partner.
Okay. We'll move on to our second presentation, Selma Kingsburg Fowler County Sanitation District.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Ben Munoz, SKF General Manager. I was requested to come here and give a update on the sewer rate increases that were proposed and approved by the board. I have been here at other council meetings to discuss this item. The process begins with a sewer rate study, which we started in December of last year. And then we also have a process of workshops with the Policy Advisor Committee and the board. So there's a lot of discussion that goes on in between the process. Then we're required to do a 45-day public notice, Prop 218, which we submit to the residents that we serve. Then in those 45 days, we bring what we call the ordinance for the rate increase, was ordinance 2019-01. And that was introduced to the board in July 13 for consideration. Basically, it's introduced, and then there's a public hearing. I received about 4 to 5 memos of protest. There was 2 individuals at the first meeting. They were heard by the board. And then the second introduction of the ordinance was July 11th, 2019, where that ordinance got approved by the board. They approved a 5-year rate increase and at a 3.5% increase per year. Originally, what we had proposed as the staff was a 5% increase for those 5 years, which was, again, looked at through the process of those workshop meetings throughout the process. So the first rate increase starts September 1, 2019, and then the following 4 years, the rate increase begins July 1st of those fiscal years. And so with that, is there any questions from the council? I also submitted the information that was requested by your city manager on that information June 24, 2019. With some attachments on that, and so if there's any questions, either item, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Oh, okay. Does council have questions for Ben Munoz tonight? Does any,
Well,
our SKF representative? does?
yeah, Ben, I got to commend you. Okay, Ben, you and your staff. These people, working at SKF, I got to, they do their best they can, engineering and everything, and they try to keep the rates down and the costs. I understand, but and they did a good job. I got to give you guys credit. You look at your books and the board that's on there, they're they look at the numbers pretty good. And I got to commend your staff and everything to bring in the right information to us. And you're, in the future, I will see in the past. I have to commend Ben in the way in the past they didn't have a program to improve improve the infrastructure of the cities, and Ben's staff developed that.
That's correct.
I gotta give you credit. And it's moving forward. It's a start for all cities, and I gotta give you credit.
Mhm.
And I'm thanking you for this. Thank you very much. I always thank your staff and your engineering, your SKF group. Hey, they're good.
Yeah, thank you. Jim Wallace is your representative for the board, and he's right. The board, the SKF board, does look at those numbers really hard and make us work to minimize it and keep it consistent to what the plan has been going back to the implementation of the CIP, Capital Improvement Program. So, and it gets looked at every year regardless. It got approved. We can actually, if we see, we can actually reduce that percentage that year. We can't increase it, but we can reduce it, say, 3% or whatever. We look at it, but it is looked at every year regardless, even though it's been approved for
You look at to
ongoing.
reduce it every year.
Yes.
Does anybody from the public have anything they would like to say? Okay, just bringing it back, I guess just a recap from me based on your last meeting. It sounds like you do have a capital improvement program that you adhere to. We regularly hear, I think we heard it from the council at the last meeting, just a general feeling of kind of waiting, on when we get our sewer lines clean, because it sounds like part of that rate increase should go to helping us, all that red that we see in those diagrams that you put up there. What I'd be interested in seeing in the future is just an improvement plan timeline on when SKF will be, helping us to clear those out and to help potential infill development in our city.
Yeah, I do have a timeline that we keep, and as I said, going back to 2010, we did have the first CIP development in February 17, 2010, and at that time we did some major improvements at the plant. We did the aeration improvement project. We did some headwork bar screens replacement, and then we did also the newest blower for the AB3 AD diffusers. That was a significant cost. So, and then also in 2011 we had the facilities plan update. We also did the headworks improvement project and the effluent pump station improvement. Then in 2012 we did do Selma, R&R, Barbara, and Sunset lift station refurbishment, steel sewer main project of 1,000 linear feet, and then commenced the planning of funding for the McCall Avenue sewer R&R. And in 2013 we did for Selma R&R East Side Selma sewer project of approximately 1,732 linear feet, and we also did some North Hill lift station refurbishment. We also did at the plant refurbishment of diffusers and pipe and digesters. 2013 we did the refurbishment of the headwork structure, electrical railing, and effluent pump station. 2014 we did the Selma McCall urgent repair of approximately 2,500 linear feet. And in 2016 we did a strategic plan, and we did a big refurbishment of diffusers and pipeline and the digesters. 2018 we started the installation of the 2.3 megawatt solar system battery storage, replacement of dissolved air flotation thickener with rotary drum thickener system. And then in 2019, the Selma R&R McCall Avenue R&R project began with a state revolving fund of approximately 17,572 linear feet. We also, which was, and abandoned the 18-inch lines. So there has been significant improvements being done over this whole course. So
Not saying they're not, they're just, we just keep getting the same presentation in terms of the sewer lines being clogged, in the middle of the town. If we can
Right.
make some progress on that, I
And-
think that would really help, in addition to all the other really great work that you're doing for the residents of Selma and Kingsburg and Fowler.
Yeah, we'll do that. And again, the 2016 sewer master plan was the beginning of that, moving forward to addressing all those issues.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Ben, I'm sorry, I have a question.
Sure.
Anything additional from now until the end of this year?
Excuse me, additional to the collection
To your-
system?
yes.
I'll let my district engineer answer that question.
I think for Selma, we're just wrapping up the McCall Avenue project, and then we're gonna do some televising. I don't think we have any like projects planned other than doing the televising of the lines, and we're continuing our operation and maintenance and services as we always do.
Yeah, I have one more question.
Okay.
You know, on the McCall thing, what's the timeline on that? We're pretty close. I know it's pretty.
Yeah, they're doing their final cleaning, and then
Yeah.
excuse me, then they have to televise. So they're pretty much, I would say, like 98% complete. So we'll receive a video, and if everything checks out in the video, they're done. And the state's coming out at the end of August for their final inspection.
Oh, okay.
Notice of completion will be
Hoping to take it to September board meeting for
Now-
notice of completion.
Now, when the state comes out, they come up and how would I say, do they have can you hurry them up, or how do you,
Excuse me?
can you hurry the state to come up and
Oh,
check it
oh.
out? No, hey, yeah, I'm just telling you.
Yeah, that was
I
their
like-
earliest.
I'm-
Their earliest available date was the end of the month.
I mean, because you're ahead of, you're way ahead of schedule.
Yes.
And I just wonder if the state is aware of that, you know?
Yes, they are aware of
Oh,
that.
okay. You know, okay, that's all I gotta say.
So I have a question. You just stated you have 90% of the footage completed?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's like 98% complete. They have their final cleaning. I think punch list items are done. They have to televise.
You're talking about the McCall line or all the red lines?
I'm talking about the McCall line. That's our project. Yes, that's about 4 miles of pipe that
So-
was rehabilitated.
Sure. So in the, so I can understand this clearly. The last meeting we had, I guess this is a question for Ben. When you guys meet and the board meets, and when you categorize the importance of what is to be funded, so the board finds out and has a 10-year to 20-year plan, and they get the funding, what we give out, the percentages of increases, and you guys kind of break it down to the R&R, and you guys break it down what you feel is more important.
It is.
You categorize it, correct?
It's categorized, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's done.
And, okay, so when you categorize this information, do you not think that it's privy for the cities to receive what is important that the board sees, so we can actually give some kind of input?
We do share the CIP
Have you?
of the projects with staff as we develop it.
You did.
And again, it's a 10-year plan, and we normally work with them because a lot of those projects are driven by replacement of roads. We don't want to come in and you have put a new street, and then we have a bad line in there, and then a year later we come and tear it up. So we've been practicing working with city staff on identifying those ahead of time and planning for those projects.
So our staff has known that our infrastructure's been down, and the increases in the last 5 increases we received, the majority of the portion has gone to the infrastructure of the actual plant, not the lines, correct?
It's 2016.
Talking about from 2010 to 2016.
They were made aware, as when we developed the CIP from the beginning, they were, that
So-
process was
So
implemented.
because the staff was aware, and the staff did not probably give you guys an input as to what was probably important of our infrastructure lines, you guys felt that it would be more important to take care of the infrastructure of the operating plant versus our infrastructure of our streets?
It was a educational part from us to the staff and educating on what needs to be done, them understanding what has to be done, and of course you've had some changeover, but we did practice that. They were very involved in the 2016 sewer master plan that had identified all those lines, not only for the risk factor of the existing, but also planning out to 2035.
Does the board know that the importance of the plant is important, but also the lines of our community? Because if our lines in our community can't flush the waste to the plant, there's no reason why to even have a beautiful plant going.
Yes, we're aware of that, and they're aware of it, and that's why they want to address it, because they understand the importance of that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
One last question is simple. Veronica, do you know, you said the state's coming at the end of the month. Do you know, have they given you a date?
It'll either be the 26th or 27th.
Thank you.
Thank Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to the next presentation, final one of the evening by the Consolidated Mosquito Abatement District. Mr. Steve Mulligan.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me to give this presentation and get some information about our district out. Again, I'm Steve Mulligan, District Manager of the Consolidated Mosquito Abatement District. And this first slide shows this really brave young lady with her arm in a cage of mosquitoes and actually demonstrating that mosquitoes differ as to what they do based on their gender or their sex. So the cage here is filled with male mosquitoes, and so she's not getting any bites. Male mosquitoes cannot bite, cannot transmit disease. It's the females that bite because they need the blood, the protein from the blood to develop their eggs, her eggs. And when she lays her eggs and they hatch, mosquitoes require water to develop. The immatures require water. And that's an important point going forward as well. Could I have the next slide? The Consolidated Mosquito Abatement District is a special district, a subdivision of the state of California. We have a little 1,058 square miles. We are by county. Most of the district is in Fresno County. A small portion is in Kings County. We cover 9 incorporated cities, including Selma. And our mission is to reduce the risk of mosquito-borne diseases. And historically, we've had St. Louis encephalitis. In the more recent past, in 2005, West Nile virus invaded California and Fresno County. Since that time, we have had to deal with West Nile virus, which is a serious disease of humans transmitted by mosquitoes. We also reduce the nuisance of mosquitoes, mosquito bites, and all of this enhances the environment and property values. Our services include routine surveillance. We also identify and treat mosquito breeding sources. We respond to requests from the public for service. And we have a disease control response for these 2 diseases and the potential for other diseases. And then, as I'm doing tonight, we do outreach and education to the public, and so I appreciate this opportunity to get some information out. This is the transmission cycle for West Nile virus. This is an important disease in Fresno County, in California, throughout the United States. Like I say, since 2005, we've had it in Fresno County. It's a disease of birds that's transmitted when an infected bird is bitten by an uninfected mosquito. The mosquito becomes infected, bites an uninfected bird, and then the cycle continues. So that's the normal cycle. However, if an infected mosquito happens to bite another host, such as people, such as horses, we could become infected. Here we're listed as dead-end hosts, and we're incidental hosts, which means that we cannot build up a titer in our blood and infect another mosquito. But we can be infected, and in a small percentage of the cases, it causes some really debilitative neurologic conditions. It can cause death as well. Okay. So we've been dealing with mosquitoes that can transmit mosquito-borne diseases, primarily West Nile virus, St. Louis encephalitis. These are mosquitoes that transmit them are mosquitoes that bite at night. That's when the birds are not active, so mosquitoes find them, bite them. So these type of mosquitoes are active at night from dusk until dawn. That's when we have the most risk to humans from these diseases. Then in 2013, we had an invasion from a new mosquito species, the Aedes aegypti mosquito. The common name is yellow fever mosquito because it was the mosquito that transmitted yellow fever that devastated the United States and tropical areas, subtropical areas, and temperate areas throughout the world. This mosquito is mostly found in tropical areas because they require a lot of humidity generally. We're a desert, so we never thought that this mosquito would become established here. However, in 2013, it showed up in California, actually starting in Madera and Fresno County, and became established. It is now found throughout the southern San Joaquin Valley, Southern California. It's a very bad nuisance because of the mosquito bites, and because of some characteristics of it, it is conventional insecticides, conventional control has limited effectiveness. And this is caused because this mosquito is closely associated with humans and human residences. The mosquito, the female, lays her eggs in small containers of water, which are found around people's yards. This mosquito, it's a nuisance biter. It will actually follow people indoors to bite. And if you have small containers of water indoors, it will lay and develop offspring indoors. So it's because of these issues with that, characteristics and behavior, it's very hard, if not impossible, for the district to use our regular conventional methods. Again, the sources that it utilizes for eggs, to lay their eggs and for larval development, are small, often very difficult to find, cryptic sources, yard drains, utility transformer vaults, things that we normally did not think of. Now we're accessing some of those vaults and treating them. And so the main method of fighting this mosquito is by source reduction, eliminating these small containers. So we try to reach out to the public to let them know that they need to take responsibility for eliminating sources around their yards. We ask that residents check their yards and houses and residences on a weekly basis, at least a weekly basis, to get rid of any water sources that can produce this mosquito. The sources can be as small as a dish underneath a potted plant that collects the water, and that can produce these type of mosquitoes. Yard drains that are used to get rid of rainwater during the winter time, they collect nuisance water and can produce mosquitoes. So we really need to have compliance from the population, from the public, to make every effort to reduce these mosquitoes sites around their yards.
How about
And-
pools?
Pardon?
How about pools?
Swimming pools are a problem with mosquito production, but not for this mosquito.
Okay.
The Culex mosquitoes, the night-biting mosquitoes, swimming pools are a very large source for the development of these. So the type of mosquitoes that can transmit West Nile virus will utilize unmaintained swimming pools. If a swimming pool is maintained, chlorinated, filtered, it's no problem. If it's unmaintained, it can produce, thousands of mosquitoes, enough to infest entire neighborhoods. We have a program where we contract with an aerial service. They take photographs, and then from those we determine suspect pools because of the green color from the algae growing in them, and then we can identify where these are and then try to get access. And we have actually a little over 1,000 pools that we actively know that are actively sources that we treat on a routine basis, and continually find new ones. And we get that from the public too. We get calls from the public. This mosquito also has a level of resistance to insecticides that we might use, so that's a problem. And it's a terrific biting nuisance to people. As you can tell from these pictures, the mosquito likes to bite the lower legs. It will bite your arms. So probably if you live in towns, in any of the incorporated cities in Fresno County, or the communities in Fresno County, it's a residential mosquito, you've probably experienced this. So if you do, then we ask that you really make the effort to eliminate these breeding sources around your residence. Also use insect repellent so you don't get these bites. But the mosquito not only bites people, but it can transmit some serious diseases, including yellow fever, dengue, chikungunya, and Zika virus. This is a mosquito that can transmit those those diseases. We don't have them in California yet, but there's always a threat of having an imported case coming now that we have the mosquito. This, if you can click on this, this shows the spread through the years of this mosquito. It spreads from the Clovis area to Fresno to all of the incorporated cities, starting in 2013 to today. So now we find it in all of our incorporated cities, our communities throughout Fresno County. So it's not just Selma and where you're experiencing this mosquito problem. It's throughout the county into Southern California. The Los Angeles County, Orange County, they're having a tremendous impact from this mosquito on their residents as well. Okay, next slide. So because of these, the mosquitoes that can transmit West Nile virus and this new mosquito, we recommend that everybody take precautions to prevent getting these diseases. Mosquitoes that transmit West Nile bite at night from dusk until dawn. This new mosquito bites throughout the day. So, you know, in order to protect yourself, you can stay indoors during the hours of activity, avoid areas where mosquitoes are active, wear long sleeve shirts and long pants when outside. But let's face it, in the summertime, you don't wear long pants, you don't wear long shirts. You walk around in shorts and short sleeve shirts. So use insect repellent. So on any exposed skin, use insect repellent, and there are several active ingredients that are registered and by the EPA and approved by the CDC for use to prevent mosquito bites. You're probably all familiar with DEET as the active ingredient. That works very well. There's a couple other, picaridin, oil of lemon eucalyptus, and a compound called IR 3535. These are active ingredients that are recommended by CDC. There's a lot of different formulations of those, so you can pick out the active ingredient that works best for you. You can pick out a formulation that works, whether it's an aerosol spray, liquid spray, a wipe, or a lotion. But use insect repellents when you're outside to prevent bites, particularly from this new invasive mosquito, and also in the evening to prevent contracting West Nile virus. And then, okay, protect your home. Get rid of any standing water that you might find around your home. Empty these containers. If you need the container, empty it, rinse it out. You can refill it. A pet watering dish, do that a couple times a week. Empty it, rinse it out, fill it with fresh water. Your pet will appreciate it. It'll have fresh water, and you're eliminating any mosquito sources. If you don't need the container, toss it out. Get rid of it. Use waste management. And so then maintain your window screens and your door screens. The mosquitoes can enter buildings, houses by through windows, open windows and doors. So maintain those. So I said the new mosquito will follow you indoors. So if you have that mosquito as you're going to enter, you know, kind of shake yourself off before you get in, and there'll be less chance that mosquito will follow you in. On our website, we also have some other ways that you can prevent mosquitoes from entering. Part of it is don't leave shoes outside in your entryway. The reason is mosquitoes are attracted to human odors. We have actually a trap that uses a lure that was developed from stinky socks. So if you leave your shoes there, mosquitoes are going to hang around. They'll follow you inside. Your yard drains, down there in the yard drain is, you know, water will go through the drains. If you screen it off, mosquitoes cannot enter. If you use a foam insert, they can't enter. Mentioned about unmaintained swimming pools. Please, if you know of an unmaintained swimming pool, let us know so that we can, we may have it in our system. If not, we can put it into our system and report mosquito problems to our district. There's a phone number, a website. We have a lot of good information on our website. And we appreciate Raina taking the information that we have in PDF form that Selma can push out to its residents. So we appreciate that.
Absolutely. We'll have this on the website. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming out.
Yeah,
We
Okay,
really
you're
appreciate it.
welcome. One more
Does anybody
question.
have questions?
Yeah. Now, I know you're educating, the public here. How about the schools? Have you educated the district? 'Cause a lot of the schools, they use their sprinklers and, see, like our city workers, like Shane over, he's constantly looking at fixing water lines and everything, so he makes sure there's no leaks. And I see him out there, his team's out there working hard. But the school district, a lot of times they water and the kids, practice soccer at night and football. So there's more of an effect on those kids because they're sweating and the mosquitoes are going to be attracting them because there's water in their body.
Well, and again, what you're doing is the kids are exposed to adult mosquitoes that are flying. They can fly. The new invasive mosquito doesn't really fly that far. The other night-biting mosquitoes can fly miles. So the source doesn't have to be there. The mosquitoes can fly out. But it's important, you hit nail on the head with the sources. We need to eliminate any standing water that can stand for a week or longer. The cities, you go around, if you have any leaky valves in the lawns, fix those so you don't have any standing water. We do contact school districts, cities to show them that maybe there's areas that they can improve eliminating water. Trash cans around with the plastic linings, some of those are placed within the spray reach of a sprinkler so they can fill with water. Even if there's trash in it, there's water on the bottom, mosquito will lay her eggs in it and they can develop.
One more question too. If the public is doing all this, how about, a lot of time people bring their people to spray, where I live, people always spray. Once a month, there's someone spraying in there, for ants, mosquitoes, whatever, and, but is it good to spray too as well, control it, maintain it?
The conventional control methods have limited effectiveness. You can spray around a house. The treatment for ants or cockroaches is different from mosquitoes. Same compounds, but you're attacking different areas.
Yeah.
So you would need to spray around the vegetation and the sides of the house to have an impact. That impact is going to be short-lived. You're going to maybe control some of the mosquitoes that are active around that area. However, if you don't take care of the mosquito source, you're going to continue to have reinfestations. And the sprays are very limited in the duration. You can have a pest controller come out to spray for mosquitoes, but the duration's going to be limited. Unless they continually come back week after week.
Yeah, usually when people sign up for mosquito abatement, whatever, or pest control, it's usually once a month process. They can always come on a first of the month or the middle of the month, whatever their schedule is. They come by and do their job, and then they're gone.
But again, you would have to treat it frequently enough to maintain that population.
But it is good to do that, am I correct? Safeguarding, it's a safeguard, I should say.
Well, again, it has limited impact. So really, you're not going to take care of your problem, and the effect is going to be limited. So really, you need to eliminate the sources in order to,
Water sources.
Well, and again, if people, and you can take care of the problems around your house, but your neighbors may be producing mosquitoes. You may spray around your house, but, and it may be temporary relief, but you're going to have mosquitoes coming from whatever source that you have. So I wouldn't, I can't recommend that you use a PCO to spray, but if they can be, what they're spraying can be affected on a limited basis. If you have a party that you're going to have, you might consider that. Or some people can, there's products on the market where you can actually purchase for homeowner use. But again, these are all limited in duration, in effect.
Does Selma have more these Aedes aegypti that carry the West Nile virus than other areas?
Aedes aegypti don't carry the virus. It's the Culex mosquitoes, the night-biting mosquitoes. Aedes aegypti don't transmit West Nile virus. But it's the night-biting Culex mosquitoes that can. This year, we've had over 150 samples. What we do is through our surveillance, we trap mosquito adults. We bring them back to our laboratory facilities. We identify them by species. We count them for abundance. And then we take the female mosquitoes, send them into a lab at the University of California, Davis, and they test them for the presence of mosquito-borne viruses. That's where we identify whether they're carrying West Nile virus. We send a sample in, so it's a collection of from about 10 to 50 mosquitoes. So if it comes back positive, that means that one or more of those mosquitoes, female mosquitoes, were carrying the virus. And then so those are positive samples. We've had over 150 positive, West Nile positive samples so far within our district this year. And we've had some from Selma, and we've
So
put
just
out.
some, but not a majority.
Well, again, we don't want people, you can't be complacent. We've identified West Nile virus in Fresno County. It could be anywhere. We can't sample mosquitoes everywhere, but we do have positive mosquitoes in Fresno County. That means that it could be in your yard, could be in anybody's yard, but we have noticed them. We have collected samples from Selma, from Kingsburg, from Fowler, from Reedley, from Sanger, Clovis, and Fresno. So it's pretty widespread throughout.
Do the hospitals let you know cases of West Nile virus and where they are?
In humans?
Yeah.
That's the Fresno County Department of Public Health.
Okay.
They
And-
handle that. We do get notification of that, but again, the information from that, of course, is covered by HIPAA.
Yeah, not the
laws,
individual
so-
names, but do you get instances, individuals who've had it in Selma, and if so, how many
Well,
people in
if
Selma have had
if
West
we
Nile?
have any, we would not be able to get that information out because it's because of HIPAA
Oh, even the
restrictions.
numbers, even the incidents are.
Well,
are covered
all
under
of that
HIPAA.
information, and we can't report that. All of that information would have to come through Fresno County, and what their reporting process is. They're the ones that do the identification of the human cases. We work with mosquitoes and virus in mosquitoes. Any human cases are handled by they're the ones that identify and confirm any cases. In fact, recently, last week, we had a press conference, media availability with Fresno County Department of Health to contact the media to let them know that we had the first case of West Nile virus, human case of West Nile virus in Fresno County.
Got it. Okay, so one this year so far.
But again, any inquiries on that would have to go through Fresno County Department of Public Health, and there would be very restrictive in getting any information out to the location of where
Just
that
because you get
individual-
bitten by one of these Culexes, though, doesn't mean you're going to get West Nile.
No.
Okay.
But all it takes is one bite.
Okay.
So
for that.
use repellent, and again, these are night-biting mosquitoes.
Thank you for coming out and giving us
For
this
me.
information and giving
Okay.
us these tips to prevent getting
Well,
bitten.
Thank you
keeping
for the
them away from
invitation.
our homes.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, with that, we've been at it for about an hour with presentations. We'll be rolling on to the regular meeting after this, and we'll take a 5-minute break and be back at 7:02.